So we're going to start with our legs flipped up over the chair. So set your chair up so that you can kick your legs up over the low side of the chair, and take your time as you come on down so that you don't feel hurried in this endeavor. And then slowly and mindfully bring yourself to a position where you can let your legs rest comfortably on the chair, and just take a little time to get them arranged so it feels like your legs are supported. You could relax your thighs, you can relax your hips, and you can relax your abdomen. And then once you've got your body kind of settled in, just take a second to work out all those little wiggles, find that extra level of comfort. Let your hands rest wherever feels the best to you right now. And then just see if you can tune into the rhythm of your breath, noticing your inhalation, noticing your exhalation. And then keeping that awareness of your breath coming in and out through your nose, that's the preferred method, that we breathe through our nostrils. So hopefully you're able to breathe in and out through your nose. And then just take a moment to notice if one side of your sinuses is a little bit more congested than the other. There's no right or wrong, but just notice if you're breathing freely through both sides, or if there seems to be a slight and subtle constriction one side compared to the other. And sometimes just bringing focus and awareness to the breath, paying attention to the inhale, paying attention to the exhale, you might create a little bit of tension in the other parts of your body because you're so hyper focused. So take a second to kind of wiggle everything around just to reduce any tension that you may have picked up in the legs, the feet, the butt, the belly, or the back. And then once you've kind of worked that little extra residual tension out, now we're going to focus on seeing if we can breathe into the rib cage. So we're going to think about breathing front to back and side to side into the rib cage. If it helps you find it, place your hands wherever you can so that you can just kind of feel a little bit of your ribs. It doesn't have to be some full spread of the hands. I like just that little cup of my hands right around that top curve of my ribs. That's a nice, comfortable handhold for me. Once you've got that nice, comfortable handhold that works good for you, give a second, let your shoulders relax. Let your abdomen relax again. And then start to breathe in and out through the nose again, and see if you can find that expansive breath in the rib cage. Think about breathing front to back, side to side into the ribs. Let the ribs expand on your inhale. And let the ribs draw in towards each other on your exhale. And then see if you can stick with that breath pattern, breathing into the rib cage, front to back, side to side. But now see if you can let that breath work in the rib cage be a little bit on autopilot. So we're going to still breathe into the rib cage. Hands are going to still rest on the rib cage. But now as you breathe into the rib cage, can you start to turn your head a little bit side to side? And all of this might feel like really simple, really subtle work, but breath work is the most important thing you could possibly do in your yoga practice. Without breathing, we can't do anything else. So if we can get really good at breathing, everything else seems to come a little bit easier. So breathe into the rib cage, front to back, side to side. Gently turn your head side to side, just allowing a nice natural range of motion. It doesn't need to be extreme. Keeping the head turning side to side, keeping that breath work happening in the rib cage. But now can you focus that pattern of breath as you turn your head? So maybe you inhale as you turn your head in one direction and exhale as you turn your head in the other direction. And maybe now at this point, you can increase your range of motion. If you feel like you really nailed that breathing into the rib cage and you don't need that sensory feedback in your hands, you might choose to release your hands, but I like to keep my hands there. It's a nice way to just keep that focus for me. Where am I breathing? And can I focus that breath as I turn my head side to side? Taking one more turn of the head side to side, but then the next time you can, turn your head to the right, keep your head turned to the right, pause there, relax your shoulders, keep that head turned. And now we're going to keep the head turned, still breathing into the rib cage, but now we're going to look our eyes to the left and slightly up. So imagine that you're looking up to the top corner of your ceiling, just holding that gaze. So your head is turned to the right, eyes are looking to the left. Hold your gaze and then breathe back into your rib cage, breathing in front to back and side to side. We've got that focused gaze. We've got that breath coming into the rib cage with the head turned. But can you just for a moment let your awareness come to your left shoulder? Your right shoulder might be soft and anchored down, but did your left shoulder kind of lift or slightly get engaged to kind of help hold this position? Can you keep your head turned? Can you keep your eyes focused to the left? And can you soften or relax your left shoulder a little bit more? And then come back to that breath in the rib cage, breathing in front to back and side to side. Take one more breath. Release your eyes. Return your head to center. Stare up at the ceiling and hold that focused gaze with your eyes open just as long as you can. Once you feel a little sting in your eyes or a little watering of your eyes, blink your eyes a lot. And then when you're ready, we're going to turn the head to the left. So we're going to keep our hands on the rib cage if we can. Turn your head to the left just as far as feels good. Once you've got your head turned, eyes are going to look to the right. So think top upper corner of your ceiling. Eyes turn to the right, head turn to the left. Take a nice inhale through the nose. Fill up the rib cage front to back, side to side. And now check in with that right shoulder. So if you held that turned head, you're breathing into the rib cage, your eyes are looking to the top corner of your ceiling. Is your right shoulder slightly tense? Can you relax your right shoulder down just a little bit more? And then come back to your breath, breathing into the rib cage, front to back, side to side. Take one more breath. And then release your eyes, return your head back to center, focus your eyes up at the ceiling, hold your focused gaze just to a point where you feel maybe a little sting in your eyes, your nose might get a little spicy, or you might feel a little bit of tears coming up into your eyes. And then once you get that stinging or your nose or the tears, then just take a couple of good blinks of the eyes. Awesome. And now release your hands from your rib cage and bring it right into I Dream of Jeannie arms or that square across the chest. And then once you've got your I Dream of Jeannie arms, start to take some gentle pulls side to side. Keep your back nice and anchored on the floor. So if you feel like you pull so much that you're pulling the rib cage as well, soften your range of motion so that you keep your back nice and solid on the ground. Beautiful. One more little pull of the elbows side to side, and then we're going to go into our little hug. So we're going to stack the elbows, let your hands find your shoulders. And then once you've got your little hug, all you're going to do here is let your elbows kind of soften towards your solar plexus. Shoulder heads are relaxed. Come back to your breath. Take a nice big breath. Breathe into the rib cage, front to back, side to side. Exhale through the nose, nice and slow and controlled. Inhale through the nose, breathe into the rib cage, front to back, side to side. Exhale through the nose, slow, 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 slow. Take one more breath here. Breathe in through the nose. An even slower exhale through the nose. And then notice which hand is stacked on top. Release your hug and then just switch the cross in your arms. So the other elbow is going to come on top. Give yourself that little hug. Let your elbows get heavy towards the solar plexus. And then once you're there, come back to your breath. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the nose. 2 more cycles of breath. Once you've completed that last cycle of breath, we're going to release our arms just straight up to the ceiling and then just start by twinkling your fingers. Just wiggle your fingers, a little organic movement, twinkle your fingers. And then once you've twinkled your fingers just enough, move your wrists. Maybe make some little circles, circle in one direction and then the other. Maybe you add a little twinkle of the fingers as you move your wrist. And then we're going to keep the left hand nice and still and shake the right hand. So just give it a good, vigorous shake, or just as much as feels right to you. And then let the right hand come to stillness. Notice for a moment. And then right hand is going to stay still. Left hand's going to shake. One more good gentle shake of that hand and then let that come to stillness, but take a moment to just notice. And then we're going to take it into some zombie hands. So we're going to flick the fingers down. So we're flexing from the wrist. Fingertips are going to reach down towards your knees, and then fingertips are going to lift up and reach towards the wall behind you. Fingertips are going to flick down, reach towards your knees. Fingertips are going to flip up and reach towards the wall behind you. Fingertips are going to reach down towards your knees. Fingertips are going to reach up towards the wall behind you. And then gently release your fingers, give them one last little twinkle, and then let your hands float down. Arms are going to come nice and wide. So think anatomical position, palms facing up. And now we're going to step the feet in so that the heels feel a little bit anchored on the chair. And maybe you have a nice 90-degree bend with your legs. Once you've got that nice 90-degree bend with the legs, we're going to bop the ankles, a little flexion in the foot. So we're just going to reach the balls of the feet towards the back side of the chair, and then toes are just going to come back. So keep it loose and light. Notice your toes, notice your ankles. Notice your knees. You might notice that little bit of movement that's happening at the hip crease. If you like, maybe just for a moment, bring your hands in so you can feel that little action that's happening there right at the hip crease. And then once you've felt it, maybe just let your hands come back to that neutral position. Take one more little rock of those heels and then let your feet come to a slightly flexed position. So we want to keep the legs slightly anchored and slightly active. And now we're going to take it into a little bit of a pelvic tilt. So you're going to press your low back into the ground and then release just a little bit. You might not have full natural curve of the back with your legs in this position. So you just come to the depth of work that feels appropriate in this position. Press your low back down and then release to the natural curve of your back. And then just keep that going for a few cycles of breath. Take 1 or 2 more pelvic tilts, just depending at what speed and pace that you're going with, and then release to the naturalist position of your spine that you can find here. Now we're going to grab the back of the right thigh, pull the right thigh towards your chest. Use your hands to do the heavy lifting, move your thigh away. Pull the thigh towards your chest. Use your hands, move the thigh away. Pull the thigh towards your chest, hang out here, draw a couple of gentle circles, go in one direction. Take a couple of gentle circles, go the other way. And then we're going to take a couple of light and loose kicks with that leg. So just kick it up and down just as much as feels good, just to the point where maybe you feel a little bit of a tender tug at the back of the hamstring muscle, and that's your end point. Nice. Take one more kick of that leg, and then when you're ready, set that foot down, finding that nice anchored position with the right leg. Grab hold of the left leg, pull it towards your chest. Use your hands, move the thigh away. Pull the thigh towards your chest. Use your hands to do the heavy lifting. Move the thigh away. Pull that thigh towards your chest. Stay here. Take the leg, draw it in a couple of circles, go in one direction. Take that leg, draw it in circles, go the other way. Nice. And then when you're ready, release it just a little bit and take a couple of good kicks of that leg up and down, moving in the knee joint, feeling that end game where you feel that little bit of tension at the hamstring muscles. Awesome. One more kick of that leg. And then we're going to bring both knees wide towards the shoulder head. So think a modified or a variation of happy baby. So knees are wide towards the shoulders. Just hold on to the knees, the shins, just whatever handhold feels good to you. With this wide position, we're going to take mini rock. So you're just going to rock a little bit side to side, not the full range of motion that you could do, but just take a light sense of rocking across the low back, a light sense of rocking across the shoulders or upper back, a little bit of compression in the hip crease, a little bit of tug in the inner thigh and groin. So just kind of tune in and notice in the places of your body where you feel a little sensation. Take one more little gentle rock side to side, and then let the rocking come to stillness. Grab your knees or your shins and just pull the legs slightly wider. Does not need to be extreme, but just pull them slightly wider like you're trying to reach them towards the outer edges of your shoulders. Take a nice big breath in. Slow breath out. And now we're going to bring the legs together just as close as we can. So hug the inner thighs together, bring the legs in towards your chest. This is Apanasana. So it's that like reverse of our child's pose. So we're hugging the legs so we feel a little bit of compression in the belly, a little compression in the hip crease area. But now with that compression in the belly, come back to your awareness of breath in the rib cage. Breathe front to back, side to side into the rib cage. One more cycle of breath, but notice if you pull those legs in tight, did you tense up your shoulders? Relax your shoulders. Take one more breath. Nice. And then when you're ready, release that tight squeeze. We're going to step the feet slightly wide. And now we're going to prop ourselves up on our elbows. So use your elbows, use the strength in your upper body, prop yourself up, come up nice and slow. And then we're going to scooch the butt back just a little bit so we can come into a nice wide leg position. How wide your legs are, just whatever feels good to you. And then how you position yourself in front of the chair, that'll be what feels the most comfortable. But we're going to take it into a wide leg fold. So hands are just going to rest gently on the chair, but to start, we're going to keep a slightly active position with the legs. So think about pulling your pinky toes back just a little bit so you feel your inner thighs get a little stretch. You might feel a little bit of tension in the inner thigh, in the groin, and maybe even along the backs of the knees. So find that slight bit of stress, fold into it just to a point where it feels like a nice, like happy medium. It's a good sensation, but there is a little bit of awareness of that stress. And then breathe into that space for a moment. Take one more breath. And then start to lift yourself up and out of that fold just a little bit. We're going to take a light rotation. So we're going to keep the left hand on the chair. Right hand's going to swing behind you, and then you're going to tent those right fingers so you can kind of go into that twist with a little bit of leverage. So how far you go, just what feels good to you. You will feel a little tension in the side body, a little tension in the ribs, but can you come back to that breath awareness in the rib cage? Breathe in front to back, side to side. Take one more breath. Nice. And then when you're ready, slowly and mindfully release as you come to center. Right hand's going to find the chair. Left hand is going to release. Tent those left fingers so you can leverage into that twist to go just as far as feels good. And then see if you can come back to that breath awareness and breathe into the rib cage. Take one more breath. And then when you're ready, slowly return to center. And now we're going to take it into a light little side bend. So I'm going to bring my right elbow and forearm right about to the inside of my knee and where my inner thigh meets the knee. And I'm going to leverage against that position so the bottom ribs pull forward. Top hand is going to reach up and just open up through the side body. Now, how deep you go into that side body, just find a space that feels good where you feel a slight bit of stress or tension, and then come back to that breath awareness in the rib cage. Breathe front to back and side to side. Take one more breath. Lift up slow and controlled, and we're going to take it over to the other side. So left elbow is going to come into that inner thigh knee space. Bottom ribs are going to pull forward. So we just keep that nice spacing through the other side ribs, and then take your top hand, reach it up just as far as feels good to you, and then come back to that breath awareness in the rib cage. Breathe front to back and side to side. Nice. And then when you're ready, slowly, gently, mindfully lift back up. We're going to bring both hands behind the back. Fingertips point towards the butt. Push into your hands. Lift your heart. Squeeze your shoulder blades. Lift your gaze. Take one big breath. Awesome. And then release nice and slow and steady. And then hands are going to find the chair again. Fold forward. But this time, we're going to let the toes relax. Let the inner thighs relax. So let your hips move with you. Let your knees move with you. Let your toes move with you. Soften into that fold. Take one more breath. And then slowly and mindfully lift yourself up and out of that fold. We're going to grab the backs of the knees, bend the knees, help the legs come in just a little bit. And then we're going to lean back and just take a couple of light little windshield wipers. Swish the knees, move the hips, move the thigh bones. Feel that light bit of massage that's happening on your glutes connected to the ground. Awesome. One more little swish of the knees side to side. And then when you're ready, we're going to take it right into our Shavasana, but we're going to take Shavasana with the legs up and over the chair. So scoot your butt forward, take your legs up and over the chair, find that nice supported position. Give your body a little time to find its way there. So take your time as you put your feet up on the chair, take your time as you get your clothes and your hair arranged, take your time as you start to settle in. And then before you come all the way to that deep stillness, we're just going to wiggle the toes. So twinkle your toes just a little bit. Moving the toes in any little direction that you can arrange. And then when you feel ready, let your toes come to stillness. Let your feet get nice and soft and heavy. Let that soft heaviness come into your ankles. Soften your calves and your shins. Soften your knees, your thighs. Allow your hips, your butt, and your back to get nice and heavy into the ground. Let your rib cage get soft and heavy. Shoulders are soft and heavy. Arms are soft and heavy. Eyes are closed or a nice soft gaze. Can you soften the back of your neck? Can you let your shoulders soften away from your ears? Soften your cheekbones. Soften your temples. Soften the space between your eyes. You always have the option to stay in your Shavasana just as long as you like. If you feel ready to do so, start to bring a little bit of movement into the hands and maybe make it a little bit more vigorous and intentional, like you're really trying to wake yourself up. Maybe take like you're taking a big good morning stretch, but just with your fingers and just with your feet. So find that nice intentional movement and reach. Notice your skin, notice your muscles. Did your skin feel cold or warm? Did the muscles feel cold or warm? There's no right or wrong, but just notice. And then just start to bring it into a little bit more movement. Move the ankles, move the wrists. Deepen your breath. And then we're going to take the arms and stretch them up and overhead. Big good morning stretch with the upper part of the body. Feel the chair connected to your calves, the backs of your legs. And then when you're ready, slowly release that upper body position, step your feet in, and we're going to roll to one side. So take your time as you release your legs from your chair, roll over into a fetal position, and then pause for a moment in that fetal position. Let your head rest. Feel the floor beneath you nice and solid. Take a nice deep breath in. And then when you're ready, slowly and mindfully bring yourself up to a seated position, which might mean coming all the way up to the seat of your chair. But if you like to sit on the floor, take a second to find whatever seat works for you. And then we're just going to find that nice tall uplifted spine. And we're going to do some little bit of work, just patting the chest. So nice open hand and just gently pat the chest. Close your eyes down for a moment. Notice that little vibration. You'll hear it in your breath and you'll hear it on the inside. Awesome. One more nice big pat of the chest, and then we're going to take it into one armpit, and we're going to slap, slap, slap around the armpit. Nice. And then take it over to the other side and just slap, slap, slap around that armpit. Beautiful. One more slap, slap, slap around that armpit. And then we're going to take our nice light piano fingers and just drag from the back of the ears down the side of the neck. Put a little bit of push into those fingers, like you're trying to draw some fluid downward, but let it be a nice sensation. So not so much pressure that you're injuring yourself or pulling too much on the skin. Beautiful. One more little downward pull at the side of the neck, and then stack both hands on top of your heart. Close your eyes down. Bow your head to your heart. Breathing in love and gratitude for yourself, for your mind, for your body, and the time that you take to take care of yourself. Take another big inhale and maybe let your shoulders tense up a little bit. Let your eyes squeeze in just a little bit, tense up your face just a little bit. And then as you exhale, let your shoulders soften the space between your eyes, and think about letting go of anything you're holding on to that won't serve you through the rest of your day. And when you feel ready, gently lift up through the top of your head, gently open your eyes. I bow to you. Happy Wednesday.